Recent reports confirm that Terence Crawford has shockingly vacated his WBO welterweight title after his controversial win over Israel Madrimov. Since Crawford has vacated his 147-pound WBO title, this opens new doors for champions at the 147-pound division, with names including Jaron Boots Ennis and Brian Norman Jr. For years, Boots Ennis had been chasing Terence Crawford for a fight, but Crawford has not shown any interest in Boots. Previously, Crawford told everyone that he had given Ennis a chance to fight him, which was false on Crawford's end because Boots clearly denies this claim.
That's the fight that everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
I want to do it.
Do you respect him as like when he's like, I got a couple fights left, I'm at the end, I'm only trying to get mega fights, so
I understand it, but don't lie or kept to the net and make it seem like I had the opportunity to fight you and I didn't. I never did. You know what I'm saying? And then that one time that I did, we said they called and we said we never heard nothing else back about it. So
right.
I mean, I respect it though. I mean, get your money. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing. But don't be capping on the net, acting like this, acting like that.
Boots Ennis got himself lost in the mix when Terence Crawford was chasing Errol Spence Jr. for a fight. Although Boots had been the mandatory opponent for Terence Crawford, he was given no chance to fight Crawford, so he waited to see what happened next. As fate would have it, Terence Crawford fought Errol Spence Jr. in 2023 and brutally knocked him out in the 9th round. This matchup was highly anticipated, but the results were far from what the pro boxers had predicted. This delay led Boots to wasting a lot of his precious time, which could have been utilized in fighting opponents, getting stronger, and making more money. Boots Ennis fought David Avanesian in his recent bout and won by a knockout in the 5th round, stopping Avanesian faster than Terence Crawford did when he fought him. Ennis gave Terence a clear message that he is the next pound-for-pound welterweight champion. On the other hand, boxing legend Bernard Hopkins is advocating a high-profile fight between Terence Crawford and Jaron Boots Ennis for Philadelphia. Hopkins says this bout should be on the agenda as Crawford's choices, especially a possible showdown against Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds, are financially unfeasible. According to reports, Canelo is looking for a $150 million purse. At current, this appears unreachable even for Turki Al-Sheikh. With a perfect 41-0 record, Crawford could find himself in danger should he face the undefeated Ennis, with a 32-0 record including 29 knockouts. Crawford, at the age of 36, might have lost some of his edge from age and inactivity. Thus, a bout against the 27-year-old Philadelphia power puncher presents a difficult task. With Ennis's aggressive approach and knockout force, Crawford's legacy may be compromised, and a terrible result could follow. Crawford recently defeated Israel Madrimov, claiming the WBA junior middleweight belt at 154 pounds, but he had shown little desire in any bout, but a profitable one. Crawford's win over Madrimov was considered a lackluster one, as the fight should have been a draw. Furthermore, Hopkins sees a chance for a Crawford-Ennis fight to create major attention and pay-per-view income, given Canelo's financial needs probably fall outside reach. Still weighing at 154 pounds, Crawford has numerous possible opponents, including Sebastian Fundora, Virgil Ortiz Jr., and Tim Tszyu. His Excellency, Turki Al-Sheikh, showed his stern interest in Crawford versus Virgil Ortiz matchup, but it raises questions whether Crawford would be interested in that type of fight. Meanwhile, Sebastian Fundora is out of the picture since he was snatched by none other than Errol Spence Jr. for a title fight in November this year. Although discussions are still ongoing, Errol Spence clearly called out Fundora in the ring after his win over Tim Tszyu. It is anticipated that Errol Spence will return at 154 pounds, which may spark a rematch between Crawford and Spence. Still, none of these fighters appear likely to attract the same attention as a collision with Ennis. Should Crawford be seeking a safer path, he might choose one of these other possibilities instead of running all the risk against Ennis. Moreover, Crawford was stripped of the IBF title for failure to honor an ordered title consolidation bout versus Jaron Boots Ennis last fall. The ruling came when Crawford informed the sanctioning body that he was contractually bound to a Spence rematch. That fight never took place, nor has Spence since returned to the ring or Crawford to the welterweight division. Ennis was elevated to full title holder and recently defeated David Avanesian to defend the belt. Hopkins is sure that a bout between Crawford and Ennis would be a significant event, especially if His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, who has been engaged in planning huge events, offered Crawford a sizable payoff. I would want to set Crawford against Boots Ennis in Philadelphia. Make that today. Based on financial reality, any other struggle past those lines is not realistic. The battle to see is Crawford versus Boots Ennis. That is a very fierce battle. Rely on me. Hopkins' excitement for the game comes at a period when Crawford's self-confidence might be fading. Far from the dominant force he once was, Crawford appeared like a fighter nearing the end of his career. After his battle with Madrimov, Israel might have perhaps stopped the bout with a bit more aggression and landed clean strikes on Crawford. This might be a major influence on Crawford as he decides on his next ring action. Bernard is a strong believer in fighters that stay at their own weight class. When Bernard heard that Terence Crawford was moving up in weight in hopes of fighting Canelo Alvarez, he was completely shocked. He said that Terence is making a huge mistake because Canelo would want nothing more than to beat a shorter, smaller guy. Hopkins believes that just like Terence Crawford should be fighting Boots Ennis, Canelo Alvarez should be fighting people from his own weight class, which is David Benavidez. Crawford still holds the WBA welterweight title, though the sanctioning body generally forbids boxers holding titles in 2 or more divisions. Rare exceptions were made, as was the case when all-time great Floyd Mayweather was permitted to straddle welterweight and junior middleweight. On the other hand, Crawford had some different remarks for Boots Ennis. Crawford said, "Where I'm at right now, I'm looking at the fight that makes the most sense, and that's not Boots. Canelo is going to bring way more to my legacy, way more to my bank account. At the end of the day, when boxing is done with, what will we have? I want to have a legacy that people talk about for ages. And not only that, I want a bank account that will last for ages." Surprisingly enough, Crawford stopped mentioning Canelo's name like he used to, after Israel Madrimov completely battered him in the ring at 154 pounds. It seems as though 168 pounds is one weight class too many for Crawford. In an interview conducted recently, Eddie Hearn explained that Crawford is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters, but skepticism surrounds him as he moves up in weight to face Canelo Alvarez.
Obviously, Terence has one of the best ring IQs in the sport, but you've said to me previously at the announcement press conference, you never know if maybe it's just one weight too many.
That's what you hope, really, because let's be honest, Terence Crawford's pound for pound number 1, or 2, or 3, like whatever way. For me, he's 1. And you hope that a guy that won his first world title at lightweight moves to 40, moves to 47, moves to 54, and then all of a sudden.
Hearn believes that Crawford has changed his weight 4 times, so it may cause trouble for him in the fights. Eddie's skepticism turned to reality in the close competition fight with Madrimov. Furthermore, Eddie Hearn said that Canelo is disinterested in facing Crawford because he gets nothing out of beating a smaller 147-pound guy. Neither does it add to his legacy, nor does it interest him. It's not just that Canelo will be 168, rather he will be close to 175, or even 185 in the ring, and he has been at that weight for too long. Crawford's thin stature does not support him going up to 168. Right now, Hearn believes that Canelo and Crawford fight is more of a fantasy fight because he is not convinced the fight will ever be made. On the other end, Brian Norman Jr. is another strong contender at 147 pounds, who recently turned from WBO interim 147 lb champion to full champion with the organization as Terence vacated his belt. The last remaining belt from Crawford's undisputed championship, WBA, will either be vacated or stripped from him if he continues sitting on it. Brian won the WBO interim 147 lb title last May, knocking out Giovanni Santillán in the 10th round in a grueling contest. In the eyes of many boxing fans before that fight, Norman Jr. was an unknown, but he looked outstanding, chopping down the previously unbeaten Santillán in a war. Teofimo Lopez recently talked about moving up to welterweight to challenge Norman Jr. for the WBO 147-pound title once he was elevated. Now that he has, we will see whether Teofimo was serious about wanting to move up or just talking to get attention on his career. Norman Jr. would be a nightmare for Teofimo with how he looked recently in his fights against Steve Claggett and Jermaine Ortiz. In another interview, Brian was asked about his views on the best man in the division at 147 pounds, to which he jokingly responded that he considers himself one of them.
My next question is, obviously, like I said, this is going to position you potentially, you might, if you win against Giovanni, you might end up entering the WBO championship fight, right? And so at that point, I know Terence has been in the division, but he moved out. Jerron Ennis has a belt. Stanionis and Mario Barrios. Like, looking at it, who do you feel is the best at 147? Because I believe you've been in the ring with Jerron and Terence, right?
Yeah. So regarding that question, you asking that like I'm supposed to say somebody else besides myself?
Brian said that apart from himself, he sees Boots Ennis, Blair Cobbs, Marios, and Conor Benn who dominate the division. Norman said that he would potentially like to face all of these opponents in the future. Brian shared that he has sparred with both Boots Ennis and Terence Crawford. When he was asked about facing Jaron Ennis, Brian said that Boots is looking to become undisputed one day, and so is he. Brian also commented that Boots and his family are amazing people, and he had a good time with them in Philadelphia, but boxing is just boxing. Norman was later asked about who he sees winning among Terence Crawford and Boots Ennis in a one-on-one duel. duel. He said that Terence Crawford would win because he's been in the game for a longer time, although Norman also said that both fighters have exactly the same fighting style. On the opposite end, it seems as though Boots Ennis is not moving up to 154 pounds anytime soon to face Terence Crawford. Eddie Hearn said that Boots will be looking to unify the division first and then move up in weight, which will prove beneficial for Ennis in terms of the name he will build and the experience he will get. Furthermore, boxing coach Rob Acosta believes Boots would beat Crawford due to his superior strength, speed, and skills. Acosta acknowledges Crawford's significant achievements in the sport, which have established him as a great fighter. However, he argues that Boots has attributes that would give him an edge over Crawford in a fight. These attributes include Boots' strength, speed, and agility, which Acosta believes would enable him to overcome Crawford's experience. Acosta also addresses the notion of fear or intimidation in professional boxing, asserting that such emotions do not influence decisions about fights. Instead, he emphasizes that fights are determined by financial considerations and the potential for profit. Rob argues that both Crawford and Boots are focused on their careers from a business perspective. They are not likely to let personal feelings or fears impact their decisions about who to fight. Moreover, Juan Rivera Jr. expresses admiration for Bud Terence Crawford and suggests Boots is the best fighter alive.
You know, Bud is Bud. Can't nobody beat Bud. But I'm not gonna say nothing. You know, Boots, that's my man, so I feel like Boots can do it.
So you think Boots is the only one?
Yeah, I feel like Boots is the only one. Boots not trying to be biased or anything, but I feel like Boots is the best fighter alive, though. Nobody can beat Boots.
Rivera Jr. discusses the challenges of making a fight between Terence Crawford and Jaron Ennis happen. He points out that Crawford, due to his age and extensive experience, might not be in his prime when the fight could be scheduled. Crawford has had a long career with many demanding matches, which could affect his performance if the fight is delayed. His age and the wear and tear from past bouts could diminish his ability to compete at his highest level. In contrast, Ennis is still a younger fighter who is gaining recognition and climbing the ranks in boxing. He represents the new generation of fighters who are proving their skills and making a name for themselves. Rivera Jr. believes that while Ennis is showing a lot of promise and is considered a rising star, he suggests that the different stages of their careers make it difficult to arrange this fight. Crawford's career is winding down, and Ennis is just starting to make a significant impact. Even though fans might be excited about the potential matchup, it might not occur because of these timing issues. However, Rivera Jr. emphasizes that Crawford's past achievements and Ennis's potential should be appreciated separately. Crawford's established success and experience are valuable, and Ennis's emerging talent and future possibilities are also significant on their own. Who will be the next welterweight champion? Let us know in the comments below and subscribe for more content like this.